secret terminal at JFK Airport, a hidden bar on Times Square, and my favorite beach in the entire of USA. These are 10 favorite spots in the United States by me and Honza, the Honest Guys. I love to travel to the USA, and I love to create YouTube videos, and I love the top 10 lists. But if you go to top 10 USA places to see, you're gonna find videos that will mention Grand Canyon, San Francisco, New York. Wow, those are real cool places. I would never think to visit those while I'm on my trip in US. So we're gonna give you some cool specific tips, maybe in those places and places that we love personally. Starting off, a must-see if you fly to New York in and out of JFK is the TWA Terminal. You know what normal terminals look like at the airports. They're kind of boring. Most of them look similar, but this is a blast from the past. Literally, to get to the terminal, you board an elevator where you click a button, and the elevator works like a time machine, because this is what the door opens to. Yes, you probably know this hallway from Catch Me If You Can, where Tom Hanks is chasing after Leonardo DiCaprio. Well, you can walk through these hallways, through this terminal. It's no longer used as a terminal, but you can see what flying and checking in used to look like back in the days. Please walk outside as well. Usually they have some old cars on display. There's also a bar where you can have a drink. There's a restaurant, there's a beautiful gift shop, and there's even a bar/coffee place inside a plane. And if you have the money and the time, you can actually stay at the TWA Hotel. It is on my bucket list. I absolutely want to do it one day. I just didn't have the right time for it yet. If you don't have the time to visit the TWA terminal, you can check out my personal channel, Honest Point of View, where I walk the entire terminal with a GoPro on my chest, so you can check that out. I must say that I'm really surprised how little people actually visit this terminal. To me, it's one of the most beautiful places in New York City. Staying in New York City, moving on to Manhattan, the island in the middle, and to the heart of Manhattan, which would be Times Square, a place where no New Yorkers really live or walk through because it's packed with tourists. But there is that one weird bar that I just had to find. I was working on Manhattan, I was working on a TV show that was filming scams and tourist traps, and I absolutely hated it because you're inside the tourist area non-stop. And I thought to myself, there has to be that one dive bar where the locals go to. What's that one place where tourists don't really go? And I found it. From the outside, it looks like it's closed. It's called Jimmy's Corner. It's a box-themed place. I took Honza there. I usually take my friends there. You know that I'm from Prague, Czech Republic, a beer-loving country. So that's the cheapest place I could find on Manhattan near Times Square where you can grab a beer. And it's great. Moving out of Manhattan across the river, but not to Brooklyn, but the other direction, to Hoboken. My cousin used to live there. That's why I know this town and this place, and I love it for many reasons. First of all, it is much cheaper to buy or eat or do anything there compared to Manhattan. Also, there is a beautiful view of Manhattan. If you go to the university area, there's sort of a cliff where you can look over the entire city, and it is beautiful. And as I've already mentioned, I do like beer, and there is a great beer garden in Hoboken. It really is just a couple stops if you use the Path, which is the alternative to the subway, or it's the subway that goes to New Jersey, and you can discover this lovely little city of Hoboken. One more place in New Jersey I want to mention, and there's more of them around the States, but the one in New Jersey, it's actually a place I probably visited the most that I'm mentioning in this video, and these pictures only prove that. It is Six Flags Great Adventure. Back in the days, it was a theme park with the most roller coasters in the world, and I absolutely love and adore roller coasters. They're one of the coolest things you can do at a theme park. I don't understand why people go to like Disney World when there's only like few roller coasters. I just recently been to Universal Studios and it kind of sucked. No roller coasters. Anyhow, the best roller coasters in Six Flags are El Toro. It used to be the fastest wooden roller coaster in the world. King Daka used to be the tallest and the fastest in the world. I don't think it's anymore. My friend, when we went on it together, he was crazy enough to actually carry his GoPro through the entire ride. You would immediately, instantly get kicked out for this today, but this was back in the days when nobody had, smartphones with cameras or GoPros. We actually were there with Honza as well. We filmed some video there. So Six Flags Great Adventure, if you happen to drive around, a place I would never miss to visit.
Holy shit, this was fast. I don't want to do any more rides. I don't know how to tell Janek.
We were now in the northeast of United States because most of my family lives there, but let's move down south because I also have family in Florida near Pensacola Beach, or as they would refer to it, the Redneck Riviera. I absolutely love this area, not only for the beautiful sea, but especially for the way they treat the beach as it's like the part of the bar. First time I visited was on a road trip and I came from California, where it's very strict regarding, glass containers or even drinking on the beach. And I suddenly got to this spot, the Panhandle of Florida, and I saw a bar on the beach. And I said, wait, you're telling me I can drink on the beach? And this woman just looked at me, she goes yes, it's Florida. There's freedom here, an actual freedom. I was like, yeah, I love it. Most people, if you say Florida, they think of Miami. I understand that, but if you say Florida to me, I think of Pensacola Beach and that area. If you happen to be in the area and there's one venue, one bar, one joint I can recommend, it's right on the border between Florida and Alabama, and it is called Florabama. It's awesome. That's where I want to spend New Year's Eve. Moving from the west tip of Florida to a town I do love a lot, and I've spent some time in the recent days in it, and that is New Orleans in Louisiana. Why do I love New Orleans? Well, everyone will say they love New Orleans, but I love it especially because it's the closest you can kind of get to a European city in terms of they have sidewalks, they have crosswalks across the road that lead to a place. There's coffee places that don't have huge parking lots around them. I know you can argue there's more cities like these in the US. Yes, there are, but New Orleans really touched my heart on the few visits I had a chance to have in the past years. The culture, the museum of the Second World War, wow, and of course all the jazz clubs. Ironically, the best ones being off Bourbon Street, not on it. Now I mentioned places up north and down south, but why didn't I mention anything in between? Well, I usually drive in between. I don't have a time to stop except for one place. And that is like a real life mystery box that you can buy and find something in it. What is it? It's an unclaimed baggage place. It is in Scottsboro, Alabama. You may wonder, how did I find out about it? No, I didn't see it on CNN where they were featured, but I found it because I was sleeping in Athens, Tennessee, and then right next to it I saw this place, so I was like, let's stop in it. They sell stuff that was left in luggage that was unclaimed, and because they are very close to Atlanta, Georgia, where there's the biggest international airport in the world, there's a lot of unclaimed luggage, so they sell the stuff from it. You can imagine what most of the stuff looks like. It's usually water bottles, clothing, a lot of Kindles, iPads, cables, chargers, and so on. To be completely honest, it's kind of like a thrift shop, just with a good story, but the story is good enough for me to take a detour. I've already visited 3 times. All right, so far we're liking the spots, but what about some national parks? No, I don't really go to those. For that, we have the honest guide expert for national parks and nature and hiking, Honza.
Hello and welcome to the hiking expert part, which is completely rubbish. I'm not that, but I've been extremely lucky to visit some parks in the US. So today I would like to share some. The first one would be Bryce Canyon. I've been there twice, once in the summer, once in the winter. And I would say that in the winter it might be even more magical. All those hoodoos covered in snow are just breathtaking. What I can promise you is that if you don't skip this place, you will absolutely love it. Your Instagram will love it. Everything will be just fine. Most of the people who road trip US, they usually stop in Las Vegas, or some of the few adventurers usually go to Zion National Park. Bryce Canyon is the place where I think you should go. It's the best. I will now take you even further west, because the next place I want to mention is Kauai. It's one of the islands of Hawaii. Kauai is a small island, but for me, one of the best. I've had the chance to return 2 times. If you've ever seen some of the quite popular films, yeah, like Jurassic Park. You might recognize this, this coast. It's called Pali coast. If you're into hiking, Kalalau Trail is the best thing you can do on the island. It's 11 miles, which is around 17 kilometers one trip. You can do it in a day. We did it. That makes it a total of 22 miles. It's amazing trail which will take you around the coast and you will end up on a beach. To go on this hike you need to have a permit. There's about 80 for every day, so if you want to go, just make sure you have that, otherwise you cannot enter. And the place itself is the closest to paradise you can probably get.
Whoa, that's a strong statement there, young boy.
It was extremely hard for me to finish this list because I only got like 3 options. I asked for 3 options, just to be clear. But there's so many places I visited in the US and I absolutely loved. So I decided I will talk about the place I visited the most recently because I just got back from Washington. We were hiking in the Mount Rainier area and Baker. It was all amazing, but if something really made this trip memorable, it was the trip to the Cascade Pass. We started on the parking lot when there was a lot of fog. We couldn't see on the top of our noses. But when we started hiking, we went zigzag for, I don't know, like 2 hours. It was crazy, it was endless. But when we finally reached the top, suddenly we saw mountains all around us. And it was just such an amazing view. So if you are really into hiking, I would suggest that whole Washington itself is a great idea where to go. For me, I know this is a state I want to go back again. And the Cascade Pass, that's a one hike that if you're an experienced hiker, you will love it.
Despite the fact that we're from Prague, Czech Republic, this was 7+
3.
best places we know in the United States. Stay tuned because on the future episode, we want to tell you the worst 7+.
2. I don't want them to cancel my ESTA.
Oh, right, yeah.
Just in case.
Yeah. But yeah, we may still talk about how horrible Las Vegas is for travelers. Until then, bye-bye, and subscribe to The Honest Guide, which is Janek.
And Honza.
Ciao.
Bye, guys.
I'm gonna teach you a Czech word at the end, and that's how to say a redneck, because we were talking about the redneck Riviera. Don't use it much in Czech, though. But the Czech word for redneck is vidlák. Vidlák is a redneck, and it doesn't mean a redneck, but vidlák refers to the tool you use to move hay. Vidla. I don't know what's the word in English. I'll learn it for the next episode. Vidlák is a redneck.